It's time for another blistering report from the front lines of the cultural war for a constitutional America. And now, here's your host, Charles Benninghoff.
Today I want to read you some lyrics from a hit song that many Americans will recognize from about 35 years ago. And I have to read the lyrics because if they're sung, they just don't have the same meaning. So I'm going to take these lyrics and apply them to a completely different situation than I think what they were originally intended. But maybe you'll get the point. So here goes. Well, our fathers fought the Second World War, spent their weekends on the Jersey Shore, met our mothers at the USO, asked them to dance, and they danced real slow. And we're living here in Allentown. As you can see from the video playing over my shoulder, Allentown, Pennsylvania doesn't look much like the place that was there in the early 80s when this song came out. In fact, the Americans who are fleeing the area these days now refer to Allentown as the greater Lehigh Valley in Pennsylvania as the Little Syria. There are so many Syrians in that part of the state that rival clans are duking it out in the streets and hitting each other with their protest signs as if it's its own Arab Spring all over again. Like Rogi Berra said, deja vu all over again, and moved out of Egypt and into Allentown. Today I'm going to talk about the flood of Syrians that Barack Obama brought into the United States when no one was looking except the people who were following Pray for Us. I'll also talk about why this is an extreme danger to the future of the United States, because the Muslim Brotherhood, an international terrorist group, is actively working to set up parallel Islamic societies in many Western nations in order to overthrow all of them, including the United States. And I'll tell you how you can help put up a stop to this flood of unvetted Syrian pseudo-refugees coming into this country right now, even with President Trump being in office. Why? Because the courts are blocking them from protecting America. I think we have a novel way to help him get this action going to stop this flood. I have a lot of information to cover today, so I'll breeze through some of this information. I don't want to bore you too much, but if you go down to the text below our video, you'll see it all laid out for you, and you can read to your heart's content. If you want more background on it, subscribe to this YouTube channel for the full details. But briefly, back in 2010, billionaire globalist George Soros wanted the so-called Arab Spring launched in the Middle East so he could make another $1 billion or so through the resulting chaos. And chaos indeed he created. So he gave Barack Obama and then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton their marching orders to start civil wars in Egypt, Libya, and Syria, largely with the help of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Syrian civil war kicked off in 2011, and it's a big mess even to this day. And it's only winding down because the American people didn't elect Hillary Clinton, the cohort of Obama. Obama started the Syrian civil war by funding ISIS. We've had many videos to prove that. All you got to do is go back and look through our videography. Sorry for screwing that word up. All you have to do is go back through our videography, and you'll see numerous instances where I describe what went on to cause the Syrian civil war. There are 5 separate organized warring factions, including the Syrian government, the Syrian Opposition, the Syrian Democratic Forces, the Islamic State, and what's called the Al-Nusra Front. That doesn't include the hundreds of inter-family blood feuds and clan warfare that happens in Muslim countries anytime there's an uprising. As of the 2010 census, there were only about 140,000 people of Syrian descent living in the United States. But get this, and you won't hear anyone else talking about this information. Between 2012 and 2015, after the civil war in Syria broke out, Barack Obama issued green cards and permanent resident status to over 102,000 Syrians. When the President of the United States can bring in more than 100,000 foreigners from an active war zone and put them on an automatic path to citizenship, and no one knows it happened, the system is broken, and indeed, America's system is broken. In 2016, Obama brought in more than 13,000 unvetted pseudo-refugees into the United States. Barack Obama almost doubled the number of Syrians in the United States in less than a 4-year span. That's how you end up with rival clans of Syrians hitting each other with protest signs in Allentown, Pennsylvania, battling in the streets, having warfare. Nobody knows what's going on in Allentown because the police are afraid to go into many parts of it. And as well, the interscene warfare between the groups of Syrians is not reported. And this is just what we know about. So remember, these folks don't report most of their injuries. The federal government and the fake news media lie to us on these statistics, so it's difficult to get an accurate total. But look at what happened to Congressman Scott Taylor, a former Navy SEAL and representative from Virginia, when he started telling the truth about unvetted Syrian refugees on CNN. Just take a look.
Just today, the FBI comes out and says that 30% of their domestic terrorism cases that they're investigating are from folks who are refugees. It's important not to label all refugees bad people. That's not why I'm here. But
I was just going to say, Congressman, it's time to go, but I think the TV gremlins did that for us.
CNN cut a U.S. congressman off in mid-sentence for daring to tell the American people the truth. Trump's right about CNN. They're all liars. You know what? The congressman pointed out that 30% of active FBI terrorism investigations inside the U.S. right now involve refugees. In addition to the terrorism threat, there's also the long-term demographic threat that Obama and the globalists have created in America and done so purposefully. How do we know this is happening? Well, look at Sweden, for example. The Daily Mail says a new government report from Sweden has been issued there proving that the Muslim Brotherhood is using the Syrian refugee crisis to establish a parallel society in Sweden. That's why they don't report these crimes and these injuries of each other, because they have a parallel society, in which case the Sharia law and the Sharia courts apply their own rule of law, and the United States judicial system loses all control, doesn't even know what's going on, doesn't know how many people are armed or what those armed people are doing. And this also means the Muslim Brotherhood and the imams in the mosques are encouraging all the refugees and immigrants to never assimilate, never become Americans, stay Muslims, stay at war, kill each other. They will never become a part of the Swedish society. And eventually, when their numbers are large enough, they'll take over the Swedish government. This is the Muslim Brotherhood strategy in every non-Muslim country, because its long-term goal is to bring every nation into an Islamic caliphate or worldwide government ruled by Sharia law, where if you're hungry and steal a piece of bread, you get your hand cut off. You'd have to be a fool to believe that the Muslim Brotherhood is not trying to set up a parallel society in America. They are. Anytime you bring in a population of aliens in large enough numbers, they do not have to assimilate to their new host country. They have their own community all by themselves. If you don't believe me, the perfect example already exists right here in America, not very far away from Allentown, Pennsylvania. Look at the Amish. The Amish, everybody loves the Amish. They've been here for centuries, but they are a parallel society. Now, this isn't a criticism of the Amish, because they're peaceful and they leave everyone else alone. But they came over in the 1700s in large enough numbers to form their own support groups, and they never assimilated. To this day, a lot of old-timers don't even speak English. They speak Old World German. The same thing is going to happen in a generation here with Obama's flood of Islamic invaders. But I guarantee you they're not going to be good neighbors like the Amish. Absolute guarantee. Do you want to stop this parallel Islamic society from being established in America? Then you have to speak out. We're calling on Congress to back up President Trump's moratorium blocking foreigners from terrorist hotbed countries. Congress can do now what is right through the budget process by blocking any funds for bringing in more unvetted pseudo-refugees. We will lose our country to the globalists and their Islamic invaders if we don't speak out. So I hope you will decide to take part in this effort. If you go to our action page today, you can send personal letters to Congress demanding legislation to back up President Trump's executive order to block terrorist threats from 7 Middle East countries. Stay tuned. Bob Mallory will tell you how to get to our action page and send your personalized letters to Congress. And you know what? You do that, you can become your own action hero. This is Charles Benninghoff signing off and wishing you freedom, fulfillment, and God's many, many blessings.
If you're on our action page on our website, use the form next to the video screen to select a program and send personal letters to Congress. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, click the icon appearing now to find the link to our action page, or check the video's description to find the link. Speak out today.